Good morning. Welcome to Options Tender. We're taking a look at the tech market. This is a members video. It is Friday. Happy Friday, everybody. November 15th, 2024. So we're going to check out QQQ on multiple time frames, and then we'll go across around the horn on the big tech stocks and emphasizing Tesla, because I want to share with you the game plan as the market may get to, I believe this is the first impulse wave, and as the market gets to its bounce point for the initial wave one, I think Tesla will be our relatively stronger stock. So we'll flip into those. We're already in them for next week, but we will add on to those positions. Okay, so here we go. We have QQQ on the monthly time frame, 2000 top, 21 top, and we're forming a top here in 2024. We need more evidence on this time frame for a reversal. We're starting to get that type of reversal candle, but we have half the month left, so we'll see where that ends up. Again, I do think there's a bounce point somewhere. I don't know, on this we have to go to lower time frames, but in this one, it kind of seems like 484, 480. And then you have the 8 EMA at the, you can see over here in the turquoise at 471. So let's keep those numbers in mind as we go down to lower time frames. And again, I'm not going to go through all the divergences, but on every time frame, we have negative divergence. Okay, so that's the only one I'm going to show you. This is a high time frame. We're going to have a huge correction, and we're talking in the Discord. There is a likely chance that with inflation increasing, or at least being stuck, that we might have a 1960. I want to say 68. Really, from 66 all the way to 1980. Type sideways correction. So we'll see, and I'll go over that in the weekend video for the overall market. Weekly time frame. On the weekly, where's it at? There it is. On the weekly time frame, we have the trend line from 2000. We're forming this very large bearish rising wedge. We're getting a huge cloud cover candle. We have the 8 EMA right here. Let me highlight it at 494. So that's one place to stop there. So perhaps let's just see these targets here. Maybe the trend line is where we need to in the 8 EMA and the 20. Let's check out the zone from 4. Let's change those numbers to about 492. 484, which was kind of where we started that zone anyway. So, and then we'll dig in deeper because we have the 20, we have the trend line, and we have the 8 EMA. So all I'm looking for really is an impulse wave down, a small dead cat bounce. I mean, it could be a deeper bounce, but and then head lower. And the next stop after this bounce should be somewhere to next supports and a much more intense sell. And on the weekly time frame, I think let's grab one of these trend lines. On the weekly time frame, this looks like a really good spot right here, and the reason is because we have resistance, support, even though that was kind of an anomaly from the yen carry trade, and then we have support here. And also the 50 moving average on the weekly. So we'll pay close attention to that. Daily. Again, we have divergences. We're not going to go through all those. Here's a different look at the wedge. And we moved the line. Unlike the weekly, we moved on the daily the line here, and it goes to the bottom of this trade here. So we have the low here, low, so it's a good trend line, 3 lows there, and it coincides with the 200-day moving average. So that's going to be a good spot when the 200 gets to that trend line for some sort of bounce, depending on what kind of structure we see. So I don't suspect that will fall straight down there, but this does look like a good length for a larger degree impulse. So here, what I'm looking for is maybe down to the trend line here. Again, that's at this point, if we went straight down, or at least into Monday, we'd probably clock that around 496. And that could be a little bit different if we started the trend line from this point too. So kind of a benefit of the doubt line here if we line those up. All right, and that doesn't change a whole lot. You might have a couple lows there. I don't know. We'll see. It's not a whole lot different, but that will coincide with the 50 moving average. Just in case you see a spike through here, you know, don't, especially if we're oversold and have positive divergence on the 65 minute, then we don't want to get stuck with puts or adding, especially any puts here. So what we're looking for initially is a wave down, a bounce, a wave 3, and probably some sort of bounce, wave 4 in this section, and maybe that's the support right here, and then a test of the 200-day moving average, however long that might take. It, you know, you can move this, you know, out here, so it just depends. It's ascending, so that the target could move. So 471 or so on there. Okay, so you should see a nice 5-wave move in here into good support with the trend line and 200-day moving average into there, so that we'll keep a good eye on that. But in the near term, this zone right here, and I can add another. Let me go ahead and add support over here, right about there. That should do, because it coincides with these trend lines. We have a gap right here. So this can be a zone, and then you have resistance going in both these spots here. So with volatility heading up, I'm going to lower that just a little bit more. Here's support. Here's a good resistance there, resistance. You see in this, it looks really good because that's where you got an island gap, right? Island gap back above it. So this seems like a much more better spot here at 494. And I think that's what we mentioned on the last one. So 494 looks like a good spot. So far, that's about 4 points down. And just leave room for any spike underneath. Let's see if we have anything to add here. Nope. Let's go to the 65. On the 65 minute, we have this bearish rising wedge. Excuse me. This bearish rising wedge. And so this is a little bit better look at this wedge here. And again, we could bring a trend line from this low to this low, and that will give us just a little bit more room, just in case maybe we go to fill the gap. And so that's 493. So 495 to 493. Let's call it that zone right there. We should start going into the 200 moving average and this uptrend line. You should start taking some profit at this point. This is a fake break. It's a throw over. And I think the next moves are, if this coincides. And remember, we look at SPY, QQQ at the same time. Okay. And when one is getting into a support area and the other is doing the same, if SPY is at its support area already, you know, maybe we give it a little bit more room because the Qs can drag it down more. Okay, so this is the island gap here. Perhaps we close this and get a bounce. That's the look I'm giving here, and we have to look at the structure too. So if we come in here a little bit closer, we can give this point of view as well. The former 887, that's also a good spot. That's 494.50. This appears to be a wave 1 and a wave 2. Okay, so now we have to see, and this is a very much smaller micro, wave 1 into this as well. 1, 2, 3, and we'll probably see some sort of 4. All right, going into 5. But now we can start kind of counting this, and I don't think wave 3 is done yet. And we'll kind of know that when we get, I don't see a 3 in there. So when we get a significant sort of sideways bounce, okay, we had a deep bounce here, we'll probably get some sort of sideways move, maybe a triangle or a flat pattern. So I could see this kind of ending here in this zone, getting some sort of bounce, and then finishing off the move in those levels that I was talking about. So Tesla should kind of slow the Qs down a bit if it starts to break out and have its move there, and we start to get the bounces from other tech as well. So this could end up being a little bit more smaller and abrupt, while SPY continues to move down. We'll see. This will probably hit its target first. Okay, let's go around to the different. And remember, VIX, once it gets a 10% move, then it's we have an 80% chance, or 85%. I don't know what the actual number is of a bounce happening within 1 or 2 days, which that makes sense going into Monday and then turn around Tuesday. Okay. Now Apple, we talked about Apple a lot more extensive for the members, so that one's there to look at. But what we basically did here was just get a flat pattern, an ABC. So this was no longer, if we look at this, it's still a flag. All right, it's a bear flag, but we counted it as a 1, and then a 2, and then a 1 and a 2. Okay, we made a new high here, so we're going to take that out. I think this is just a simple 1, 2, and we're into a wave 3 pattern, and we're just on a micro degree, a lower degree 1 here. So this 2, instead of being at this top, goes over here. It's just an ABC flat pattern. So you have this entire move, a correction, and now we're going to see a wave 3, much lower. But again, we have these sharp moves with Apple, so it you know, it's not going to go straight down. But the bounces shouldn't be tremendous in this one, because we are in a larger degree wave 3, going into the lower degree wave 3s. Okay, so it's going to start pushing the market down and trending pretty hard. We have Amazon in its channel still. Nice big move here, gap down and go. We're getting near the options expected move here for the week, so we could settle in the week right here, getting close to our moves. I'm going to do Tesla last. Meta, testing the lows here, so we could, again, get some sort of bounce, maybe back into the options expected move here. It could continue to go down. We do have a possibility that this is a 1, 2, 1, 2, and just we're getting into wave 3. So any small bounces should be sold into. Nvidia is at a critical level here. We have this bearish rising wedge, and we're getting to the, you see these lows here, 1, 2, 3 lows, and we're touching it right now. Getting just not moving anywhere, because the market is the order flow is all bearish, so it's just kind of holding still right now. But when the overall market starts to bounce, maybe we hold this. And Nvidia really, in a sense, if we want to have a sharp bounce in the Qs after the wave 1 is done, this could break down and then back test, or it could hold here. And this really does appear as an ABC here for a larger A B with a lower high as a flat pattern, okay, and then a possible C move here. So I don't know if that's the situation because of this. That looks like a WXY in that case. But if we start breaking the lows, it would make much more sense to me, as this could be a 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, and then start to play out the 4 5s here. That would make more sense. And then what would this be? You know, is that just a much larger correction? I don't think so. If we break here, if we stop right here, it just looks like a corrective move for one more high. All right. So we just don't really know that information yet. And SMH is really getting into a bounce area. So might have to check that out too. So maybe this is just corrective. And we have earnings coming up next week anyway. So whatever happens here could all be negated from earnings. We could gap up really high or gap down. So we just don't know with Nvidia. That's going to be a tough one to call. Google kind of leading the pack here, still in its channel, eked out a new high, and we had a divergence there, but couldn't hold the triangle. So a really good spot would be if you see the bottom of this channel and the top of this trend line, we're still in some sort of equilibrium here. So a good bounce spot should be with this 200 moving average, and maybe even as far to, if it goes straight down today, as support here into the 169, 170 area. And we're just about there. We're only a 1.5 away. Microsoft, nice fake break here. Again, trending lower, making lower highs. And this looks like from the earnings, looks like a good impulse wave down and then wave 2 correction and lower. So this looks like a zigzag here. And then we had that triangulation breakout, back test, and then a fake move there. It had some news, some sort of news about regulations or something like that. So SMH is breaking down again, leading the pack. I could see this when it's all said and done. If Nvidia holds, then maybe we won't get down to these points, but it looks like SMH is a lot more bearish than Nvidia, clearly, because we're not at highs. So if it wants to, it broke down from this. It's not a real valid trend line. You could move it up a bit, but it clearly was a little bit important because we gapped down right underneath and held. So we're at the gap, closing the gap here right now. So that's why the price is pausing, but I could see it going down just a little bit more into the 240 high 30s here. So we'll see about that, but I'm not going to hold too many more of these in the near term because the overall market's going to want to bounce at some point. Okay. And I think grabbing some Tesla calls into this move is going to be the right thing to do. And we talked about Tesla the other day, and this setup is still valid. We didn't get much of a move today, so those calls didn't work out so well. But what we're doing is this low here, we're looking for a 5-wave move to finish this. Okay, so wave 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So where should that end? On a larger scale, that should be at the 887. So we're looking for a flat pattern. We're looking for the all-time highs here. Our first move down here was an A. I'll actually go to the weekly just so you can see the whole thing. So we're looking for this larger degree A. And this looks complex because we had a triangle inside of it, but really it's just an ABC into a B. And we're looking for about the 380, that 379, that's an 887 retracement from this move here. And that's very typical for a flat pattern, okay? And then we should get an impulse wave C to the downside. And I don't have the exact location on that yet. We will do that later on where we get a 100% move from A to C. And it should be near the lows. It should exceed the lows, but it shouldn't be. We should have some sort of move right underneath it. Looks like it's about that area anyway, which would be the 80s, and it could be a little bit lower. So we'll see. Let's go down back to the 65. And so with this move here, this last move, we had the lows, which was into this time sequence right here, this time relationship. Got the low there. That was the election. A push up here. Wave 2. Again, really close to the We can hide that curve there. Got a high here, and yesterday we got that low. Even though we eked out a new low by a couple pennies or whatever, today we had the lows here in this cluster, so that's why we took the trade. So I can get rid of those now, and then I'll have to add on some more time relationships to see when we get a high coming in here. But from the measurement of this bottom to this top, it's very typical for wave 4 to come all the way down to the 382, and we're at that point right now, and we're relatively strong here to the market with all of this negative order flow. Tesla's still holding up, so we're looking for Tesla to not only get to its new highs here, the 358 by next week, all right, but to exceed it in the next couple weeks or so. With a bounce, I think there would be a tailwind for Tesla to move. So all of this could happen, especially if there's any sort of news. I mean, 380 is just 379 is right here. It just exceeds the high. Big numbers, but if this thing gets moving and we get some tailwind from the market bouncing, we should probably see that as soon as next week or getting close to the beginning of the week after. All right, so that's what I got for you. Yeah, we'll see you in the next video. Thanks, you guys.